What's going on, guys? All right, and we are live. We're live. Okay, let me get my shit set up here. All right, guys, how's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully everyone's doing well. We're going to go live at 9:05. We're going to start. If working people stick together, we must win. That's what. In the meantime, check out this dope song. It's called The Freedom Fighter. And I'm going to go over my notes real quick, and we're going to get started. This is going to be epic, guys. We're talking about the resistance mindset tonight. There's going to be some good stuff coming out here and some great information for you guys. So we'll wait for people to slowly trickle in here. And in the meantime, enjoy this awesome song of resistance. Secure Mindset, what's up, bro? It is night, yet GFS is going strong, even at 9 o'clock p.m. Must be like freaking earlier in the morning where you are, man. You're working a night shift, I bet. He held that fight all night. He fought along the route of that his men they might get away. All right, guys, if you're watching the redo of this, like the replay of this on my channel, skip to 9:05. You don't want to watch me looking at my notes. Yeah, Secure Mindset, bro. You're working a night shift. Fucking crazy, man. For those of you who haven't checked out Secure Mindset, definitely check him out on his YouTube channel, on his Instagram. He's got a lot of really great information for security professionals out there. So anyone who's a security guy, close protection even law enforcement guys, search and rescue, fire, EMS, Secure Mindset's got a really great channel for you guys, and he lives it. He doesn't just speak about it. So I would highly recommend checking him out. You know, these guys in the IRA, say what you will and won't about them. They had a really firm grasp on the resistance mindset. And in another minute here, we're going to get started talking about the resistance mindset. But the guys in the IRA, and I chose that song for a specific reason, is because it was talking about kind of how they were doing things back then, organizing, resistance and everything, which is a little bit different from what we're talking about. But nonetheless, that's what they were doing. And they had a really firm grasp on that mindset of resistance. Audio's better today, bro, because I freaking finally figured out how to legit use the microphone. I am a knuckle dragon freaking type of guy. So my girlfriend says sometimes, but I figured out actually how to work some technology. So I'm on my way. Okay, it's 9:05, guys. We're just going to start, and whoever else is able to trickle in, they're able to trickle in. They'll have to catch it what they can catch. So the resistance mindset. Okay, now who needs the resistance mindset? Well, soldiers, sailors, airmen certainly need the resistance mindset. Anybody really at risk of being captured needs the resistance mindset. I've also put on here men of action, but I should not be politically incorrect. I should say men and women of action, because I've definitely trained beside some badass chicks as well. So men, and work beside them as well. Men and women of action. So, you know, if you are maybe a security contractor overseas, or possibly a close protection officer, even here domestically, law enforcement, security, even like a militia type of guy, Minuteman, citizen soldier, you could potentially be at risk for being captured. And in that case, you would absolutely need to have ahead of time the knowledge and the fortitude of a resistance mindset. You need to have that resistance mindset already set aside and placed somewhere in your head for when and if you need it. Lord forbid, right? Lord forbid you do, but if you do, you're going to need it, and you're not going to want to develop it there. You're going to want to already have thought about it, already have it. Who else needs the resistance mindset? Well, civilians living in unfair conditions, civilians living in hostile environments. Look at the civilians living in Aleppo or, even Damascus, right? Anywhere really where, then you could say what you want about that. That was a bad example. But look at civilians living in China, for example, right? It's obviously really dangerous to have an overt resistance mindset, but they're still captive, right? They're still being downtrodden by a hostile government, right? Yeah, unfair, unlawful regulations. And if it's unlawful, it's unlawful. And in the States, if it's unconstitutional, it's unconstitutional. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And in Europe, if it's unlawful, it's unlawful. If it's against the Magna Carta in the UK, it's against that. If it's against whatever you guys got out there in Holland, which I believe is Constitution, kind of very similar to us, then it's against that. So, anything that is unlawful or unconstitutional or, bullshit, you need the resistance mindset. So it doesn't just have to be resistance to being held captive or resistance to interrogation even. It could also be a common resistance mindset. So if for whatever reason, one government, let's say you're in China and the government says, okay, we're taking away these rights that you guys have always had. Just too bad, like we're going to change them or take them away. Well, then it's up to you to resist that. And how you want to do it is kind of on you, but knowing how to do it is kind of on me to explain to you, right? So that's what we're going to be going into. So civilians also living under unfair, unlawful conditions will need the resistance mindset. People who don't want to be slaves, people who don't want to be a bitch. If you don't want to be somebody's bitch, you're going to need the resistance mindset. If you don't want to be the bitch of a hostile government, you're going to need the resistance mindset. So that's who needs it. Soldiers, sailors, airmen, men and women of action, civilians living under unfair, unlawful, or unhumane conditions. Also prisoners. So prisoners need the resistance mindset. Not only prisoners, POWs, which could be the same basic thing, right? Whether you're a prisoner or a POW, it's a fine line to cross. Depends what war you're fighting in, I guess, huh? So I'm just going to say POWs for this topic of discussion. POWs especially need the resistance mindset. If you're being held captive somewhere, it's essential, it's imperative that you have the resistance mindset. Knowing how to resist and how not to resist is going to be the difference between you surviving potentially and not surviving. Between you, doing your time, I don't want to say in comfort, but doing your time as comfortable as you can be without giving in or giving up your personal integrity or the creed or code that you choose to live by, whether that's the soldier's creed or the airman's creed or whatever that is, right? Whatever moral code that you choose to adhere to, that could be a religion, that could be, again, a creed, that could be whatever it is, your orders, or just personal fortitude of, personal beliefs. So whatever personal beliefs you hold, it's going to be imperative for your psychology and everything to adhere to those, but at the same time, not resist in the wrong way and get beat up, get put in isolation. Really terrible things could happen if you don't do the resisting in the right kind of way, right? So why do we need this mindset? Well, I've kind of explained that, but a big thing that we can keep telling ourselves, and I've said this so many times when it comes to this, is whatever happens, we are still in the fight. So if you were to get captured, and I suppose we can take this to like a military situation overseas or even domestically, right? Because enemies foreign and domestic, right? So if you were in some type of POW situation and maybe the Russians got you or something, right? And you were being held, right? So you're still in the fight. You're not out of the fight when that's happening. There's in no way are you out of the fight. In fact, you're in the fight more so because you're face to face with the enemy now. So you need to be telling yourself that like night and gosh damn day. You need to be repeating that to yourself again and again and again and again to remind yourself that, hey, I've still got a moral code of conduct to adhere to. Now, easier said than done way easier said than done. Yeah, but that is something that's going to be important to your psychology and to not giving up, not giving in, whether that be to like, some form of interrogation, whether that be to whatever. Now, I do want to just put this quick disclaimer out here. Okay, so I didn't go through the military SEER. I've went through some of this escape and evasion resistance type training in private courses that I've attended. Cirrus Academy, Cirrus Bodyguard Academy in Denmark gave us, I think, 1 or 2 days of this stuff, not whole days, but courses. It's been in my course curriculums of other things. And then personal experience, which I'm actually going to leave out my personal like life stories about this stuff because I don't want to tell them and it's not relevant. But when I'm telling you I've got personal experience with resisting this type of stuff, you can simply take it or leave it. But I'm not lying to you. I don't want to give out too much information because it's just not necessary. So I do have personal experience with this stuff though. So I'm going to divulge that to you now, or impart that on you now. And everything I say as far as I'm concerned, everything I say is on point. So who needs this mindset? I mentioned about the interrogation. Now, when it comes to the interrogation, we're going to talk about this more later. But when it comes to the interrogation, it can be quite unpleasant, and it's not going to just necessarily be the type of thing where you're sitting down face to face with somebody. Even if it's not the type of thing where you're like shot down behind enemy lines and they're like putting you in stress positions or worse, right? Torturing you. Even if it's not like that type of torture, they will probably torture you to some degree, whether that's simply keeping you in isolation or, putting you in uncomfortable positions. And I don't necessarily mean like stress positions, but just like physically and mentally uncomfortable positions. That's also, there's a lot of brainwashing that goes in here, not brainwashing, but manipulation. So heavy manipulation, psychological, I guess I could say fear tactics are used quite a bit. And then simply denying you of things that, you would creature comforts that you would want. Like if you're a smoker, they're going to deny you a cigarette for a long time until you do what they want you to do. Right. If you are freaking hungry, they got to feed you eventually, but they don't necessarily got to feed you anything good. Right. And who knows how long they'll wait to feed you. Right. So, and that's just talking here stateside. That's talking, that type of thing. Stress positions suck. Fucking doing that long fucks up your mind. You've seen people go mad within the first day. Yeah, absolutely. Try to hold a plank. Try to hold the plank for an hour. Try to do a wall sit for an hour straight. You can't, and that's part of it too. Is that you're gonna get tired eventually, and then you'll kind of collapse, and they'll put you back in it, and it really messes with your mind. Like really messes with your mind. And just that type of thing where no matter how hard you try, you're gonna lose. That's bad, and that's psychologically defeating, and that's why they do it. They want to psychologically break you, and they're going to do everything they can to psychologically break you, whether that's leaving the light on in your room for all fucking 24 hours a day or not letting you sleep or whatever. There's a million ways to really like defeat you, but expect all of them to be done. Expect everything to be done, and that way when everything is not done, you'll be feeling good, right? So, go into it realizing that you're in the fight of your life at that point. And it's going to be bad. But if you can hold out, then you win. Trust me, you will break. The point is to get up again. Yeah, no, absolutely, bro. The whole point here is that you will break. It's how long do you want to hold out and how badly do you need to hold out, right? So there's another thing. And this is just talking about interrogation. There could be examples where you don't need to hold out. You could tell them whatever they want to know, but you can also do it in such a way where they think that they're pulling it out of you, or you could simply out front tell them whatever they want to know if it's not relevant, right? If that's not going to put anybody else in danger, if that's not going to compromise any mission, if that's not going to compromise your teammates, sure, that can be done. Or if it's the type of thing where, when I was taught about this originally was kind of the thing about like, EP stuff or like contracting. You can also tell them really minute things about stupid stuff, right? So a way that it's done is, okay, so this is the example that was given me long time ago is you start by telling them like about your gear, right? So they're going to ask you like different questions and you could say, I'll tell you. All right. So we carry a Glock 19, the magazine capacity is, whatever, 15+1. The trigger pull is this. It's, typically this. We also have, this type of knife and this type of uniform, and the plate carriers that we use are, this and that and this. And so you just basically are giving them really stupid like details, and they'll get wise to this. Like they will. But at first you give them stupid details about stupid shit. And that was kind of like a okay example, but we drive this type of vehicle, and that's if you're not for some reason trying to hide what type of vehicle you're driving, right? We drive this type of vehicle. It's capable of this. The range is this. So you're giving a whole bunch of nonsensical type stuff that it doesn't matter if they know, but you're talking. And that's getting them engaged, right? It's engaging them, and you're engaging them. So they'll get really tired of that game after a while, and you're going to have to start giving them more and more. But to start out with, just to give them a little something you never know who you're dealing with, right? And if they're not professionals or if they don't know what the fuck they're doing, it could buy you something, right? Oh, now that I've told you all this, look, I'm really thirsty. I need a drink of water. Can I just have a drink of water? And this goes to another thing is if they offer you, and again, this doesn't necessarily apply to like stateside stuff, but if you're overseas and whatever, the Taliban gets you or whatever, if they offer you food and water, I would take it, because that's going to give you energy, right? So there's things that you do want to accept from them and things that you don't. From what I've been told, again, food and water, you need that. So if they offer you water, drink it. If they already offer you food, eat it. You're going to need that. And who knows when you'll get it again, right? But let's say they offer you a paper and they say, sign this paper and you can have a care package, a relief package. Never fucking sign that because they're going to use that and take your signature and like write a bunch of bullshit on it. And it's going to end up saying like some crazy shit that you don't want to say. Depends on the information. They are after information like the type of vehicle can be extremely valuable to the enemy. Yeah. So like I said, and I'm glad you pointed that out, man, is like if you don't want them to know the make and models of your vehicle or about them, don't give that, right? Give something else. But again, if everyone out there is driving Land Cruisers or, Toyotas or whatever, and it doesn't matter that they know that they drive Toyotas already, right? That could be fine. The point is to give them an innocuous, just like random information that doesn't matter. And that could be good to start out with. Now, I mentioned about taking food and water, like in a overseas downed airman, like, or, captured soldier type of deal, right? So what about here stateside? If you're being interrogated and they offer you something, well, you can take it, but you should probably realize that it's something called an indebtedness ploy. And that's used quite commonly in interrogations. And basic concept and theory is that when they give you something, you feel then indebted to them psychologically, and you want to help them out now, right? And I know my buddy Robin, you talk about the example of gummy bears on a plane. And sometimes when you travel, you'll hand out gummy bears to the flight attendants and kind of mack it with them a bit. And also just kind of like get on their good side. You give them something, they want to give you something. And that could be a good way to get a little something extra in the friendly skies. Hopefully get a little something extra in the hotel that night too, right? But hell yeah, bro. So that's an indebtedness ploy. Like if they give you, let's say they sit down and they say, I'm thirsty, man. Would you like a soda? You must be thirsty. How about a Coke? You can go ahead and take that. It's actually probably good that you take it, because once you take it, they're going to think, that's the indebtedness ploy. I got him. But if you know that in your head, then you can just simply say, well, I'm going to take the free Coke, but fuck you. Okay, well, I would definitely like to get a flight attendant in a hotel. That's another topic for another webinar, though, another podcast. What is this? A live stream. So um, I had a brilliant idea that I was about to talk about. Don't remember what it was, so I'm going to move on. Okay, so yeah, okay, so like that's another thing, as I mentioned. What you can do is take it and kind of inside your head say "fuck you, man." Well, another big part of the resistance mindset is playing the game, like playing their game without letting them know that you know what's going on necessarily, but also remaining defiant in your own head. So remaining defiant is a huge psychological victory for you, but you can't be too outwardly defiant, especially if you're playing the game, right? So an example of this would be you're a prisoner of war and the Chinese get you. Well, good luck with that, first of all. But like the Chinese get you, you're POW, and you're really defiant to them. Fuck you, fuck you. Boom, you're going to get cracked in the face. They're going to beat you. They're going to torture you. They're going to get you really bad. But if you're inwardly defiant, right, maybe you don't make too much aggressive eye contact with them. Maybe you know, look a little bit meek, a little bit timid. Not too much because that can really piss people off, especially like the Chinese who are about being stoic. But you know, if you kind of play that game and you walk that line between being a little weak and a little meek and a little stoic, and you know, but in the same time in your head, you're saying, fuck you. As soon as I get the chance, I'm going to take you out and escape. As soon as I get that chance, I'm going to take you out and escape. That's what needs to be going on in your head, is never comply with what they want, even if you're outwardly forced to comply with what they want. Never go ahead and do that inwardly. Inwardly, you always need, as soon as they turn your back, give them the finger. Or fuck you, you know, like a sneer, whatever. Always maintain that resistance mindset inside your head. That's very important psychologically speaking, because again, you're still in the fight. So, you know, and that same thing, that example that I brought up with, they give you a Coke or whatever, or a cigarette or whatever it is, and they're thinking, I got you with the indebtedness ploy, but you take it just because, you know, again, you're thirsty, you want a Coke or whatever, but in your mind you say, I got you, fucking cocksucker, I know your plan, fuck you. But you're saying that inside, you're inside your head. You're not saying that outwardly because that would ruin it. That would ruin the game. They'd know that you're onto them and you're smart, and they need to get even smarter. So another big thing while we're on the topic of like interrogation, don't talk. Just don't talk to them. Now, again, that depends where you are, who you are, and who you're dealing with. But if you're here stateside and let's say, you know, look, I have a lot of friends, not a lot of friends, but I've got a few at least, like people who are good guys that are cops, right, that I'm friends with. Obviously, I'm a firefighter, so like I talk with cops, right? They've always told me you're fucking crazy to talk without an attorney. Like, that's a common knowledge, right? So don't ever do that. Don't ever talk without your attorney present. It doesn't matter. You know, one will be provided for you free of charge, all of that, if you're living here in the States. And I don't know how it is in Europe, but I would assume it's something similar. Secure Mindset, bro, you could probably tell me what's going on out your way. If you're in any way forced to talk without an attorney present or a lawyer. But don't talk if you can avoid talking, because the only purpose of them talking to you is to trap you and trick you and get you to admit bullshit things that maybe you didn't even do in the first place. So, excuse me for a second. So it's going to be very crucial, very paramount that you don't talk at all. So this whole thing about like playing the game and all of that, like if you're forced to, you're forced to, but I would just not talk. And that's the easiest way to defeat this stuff. And that's the easiest way to stay out of trouble to begin with. Don't talk, because they're going to get you to admit something that you might not have even done. Look at the American justice system and how many innocent people are in jail, even on death row, because they admitted things that they shouldn't have and that they didn't even do. The cops are very good at this. This is the cops. They study this all day long. This is what they do, especially the detectives. They go to school for this. They do their own research on this, and then they play the game every single day by interrogating people. A lot of the times they're interrogating people who don't know about this. So they get them to admit things that they didn't do, which is why any freaking honest cop or any attorney would ever tell you just don't talk to them. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. So maintaining the psychological edge is going to be a very important thing. Now, again, I'm going to transition away from being captive here, and I'm going to discuss my thoughts on the resistance mindset, living in a country with a hostile government, one that's, unlawful and unhumane, such as a communist type government, right? So if you're living in a communist country with a communist government, it would be pretty essential that you have a resistance mindset, that you can resist them. Go to the mindset of Omerta. It helps. I'm not sure what that is. Whoa. I'm not sure what that is. Can you explain, bro, what OMERTA, Omerta is? But if you're living under a government like that, it's going to be crucial that you maintain a resistance mindset. It's dealing with police or security. Okay. Yeah, exactly, man. And I know I've heard you say this as well, dude, is just from privately speaking, and I don't think you mind if I say, like, don't ever talk. Just don't admit to anything. Don't talk. Don't, because you're going to say something stupid. Professionals will get you to slip up, and it's what they do, and it's what they're trained to do. So just don't talk. So now let's go over living in a communist government. Let's just use that acronym for it, right? So living in a hostile communist government where you need to resist. So how do we do this? How do we do it safely? How do we do it properly? How do we do it psychologically? How do we do it physically? Well, let me look at my notes here. So number one is realize and remember what you're fighting for and what you're resisting against. So what are we fighting for? What are we resisting against would mean, for example, what are our ideals? What are our values? Why are we putting up this resistance? Number two is going to be train, right? So train and get trained and get the training. This is not training. This is just me talking. This is just me putting this out because I told you guys I would put it out. And I always will try to put out the videos that I say I'm going to put out. But there's way better videos. And while we're on this topic, if you go here to YouTube and type in SAS Escape and Evasion, there's going to be a program put out with those SAS guys that are famous in Britain. One of them was Mac. I think just Mac, right? Like the old. I think they put him in the Call of Duty game. But there was a couple of guys, and they did a series called SAS. I think it was SAS Survival Secrets. I think, and they're one about escape and evasion and resistance during capture. Like that's. If you watch that, you don't really need much else. I mean, you do, but if you watch that, that's a really good resource for anyone who hasn't seen it. Check out the SAS Survival Secrets, Escape and Evasion, or SEER training. Fucking good, good resource. And there's a couple more. There's a guy also, another British guy, ex-SAS guy, who put out another escape and evasion thing, but I don't remember what it was, but I remember it was really good. So if you just do your research on this stuff, you're going to be way ahead of the game. Like all of the resources that you really need for this are here on YouTube. They really are. Now, when I did the escape and evasion course, it was a 3-day course. Did it twice, actually. It was out in LA. And, we got some good stuff. Picking of locks, cuffs, shimming. The second time I got waterboarded, it was interesting. We got to practice escaping and then going out on the lam. We had to evade a hunter force for a day. It was a cool course, and that was, yes, I love that video too, man. And that was through, who the hell was that through? On Point Tactical. On Point Tactical, and I don't know if they're still doing that or not. But if you are interested in getting like a 3-day E&E course, urban E&E course. On Point Tactical with Kevin Reeve, and I've got an interview that I did with Kevin. Check it out. It's on the interviews playlist here on the YouTube channel. All right, guys. So I got off track. I said a lot of stuff about a lot of topics here. So let me get back on track. The resistance mindset is really, now, whether we're talking about resisting tyranny or resisting while we're captive, it's kind of the same thing. We're going to need to do a couple of things. One of them is maintain a strong mindset, strong, you could call it a resistance mindset, whatever you want to call it, but maintaining a strong mindset is going to be paramount. Small victories. Small victories are going to be extremely useful, extremely paramount. They also really are good at psychologically boosting your morale. Not just your morale, but the people operating with you. So a good example of this is like the IRA, right? So they would have kids spray paint some shit on the wall, right? A brick wall that said something like, the IRA is with you, we're fighting for you, whatever. But just doing that is a psychological act of resistance, and it's a morale booster. It's not only a morale booster for your organization, but it's also a morale booster for anyone who supports that organization, who walks by and sees it. They say, yeah, okay, the Brits are really fucking us up here. They're being assholes. They're kicking us in the streets. They're oppressing us. But the IRA is out there fighting for us. They're in the shadows. We don't necessarily know who's who, but we support them. And there's proof on the wall that they're out there and they're working for us and they're fighting for us. It's just an example, but we can find a lot of examples of the resistance mindset looking at the IRA. Not that one organization or the other, whether it was the Brits or the IRA, because I've had good friends who were in the SAS and the other organizations, the MI whatevers, during the Irish conflict, and they're good people. And I've also, obviously I'm Irish, so, I've got family members and whatever. So I see both sides of the coin on that, but kind of, the Irish are what's up. But I really think that we can get good examples of that when we look at history. And that's all it is looking at history. So, small acts of resistance, small acts of defiance, the same way that we were mentioning about if we get caught up and we're being defiant to our captors, the same thing applies even if we're free. We're being defiant towards our oppressors. And that's very important psychologically speaking. Now, it's like if you get pulled over by a cop, right? And it's a speeding ticket, right? and you say, I wasn't fucking speeding. I don't know who the hell you think you are, but get out of my face. Like, it's not going to go great. But if, he pulls you over and he says, do you know why I pulled you over? And you say, yeah, I was speeding. I'm sorry about that, but could you give me a break here, man? Like, just give me a second chance. I'm just running late. Like, I know I did. Like, could you help me out? He's going to be way more apt to help you out that way. Even if in your head you're thinking, I fucking hate cops. Like, why did you even stop me? But you can't let that show, right? So same thing when dealing with oppressors. And I'm not saying cops are oppressors. Everyone's got their own opinion on that. But a lot of cops are really good people. Really good people. But it's the same type of deal, right? You can apply that example to like almost any act of resistance. Is if you're smooth about it, if you're holding that fire inside you, you're more apt to get away with it, but you're also going to keep that resistance mindset, that psychological defiance that you need to keep you going. And not only to keep you going, but to keep your cause going. And not only to keep your cause going, but to keep the people fighting for your cause going, right? Because every single act of resistance, act of defiance that they can see is a morale booster to them. So small acts of defiance lead to small psychological victories, which lead to larger psychological victories, which lead to larger acts of defiance, which ultimately will lead to victory. So isolation is a big thing, and we're jumping back and forth here between kind of the captive thing and the fighting your oppressor thing. Isolation can be a big thing, and I mentioned that's one of the tactics that they absolutely will use. 100% they will use that. Whether you're captive, whoever is holding you captive, that's like 101, right? They're going to isolate you. So isolation can be really challenging to deal with. One thing that can help with isolation is routines, and this is what they tell you, in training, is that you need a routine. You need to keep to a routine. So, for example, every single morning I wake up, and I wake up around 8 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know, maybe it's even 8 o'clock in the morning, but I'm guessing, right? Because maybe the shadows come this way through the little slot in the window, and I can see, right? Whatever. But as soon as you wake up, you do some push-ups, you do some sit-ups, you do some burpees, right? Maybe then around that time you're going to get fed. You have your meal, whether it's your first meal, your only meal, whatever it is. That's then, if you're lucky enough to have a bed, you make your bed and you do it perfectly, right? You freaking make everything freaking perfect on it. You take your time on that because you got all the time in the world. Then you do a counting exercise in your head. This is an important thing, is that to keep yourself mentally alert, mentally fit, mentally strong, just like we're working out, doing our push-ups, our sit-ups, our jumping jacks, our burpees, whatever it is, we're also going to need to keep our mind strong and fit. So maybe we count the cracks in the wall. Maybe we count the cinder blocks, on the wall. Maybe we count the whatever. We count something, right? We also do some remembering exercises in our head. Whatever the case may be, we're doing exercises to keep our mindset sharp and our mindset strong. So we need a strong mind and a strong body. Again, especially in case we're able to escape. If we're able to effect an escape, but we haven't been working out, we haven't been keeping ourselves mentally alert, mentally strong, then we don't have much of a chance to make it anywhere, right? Whether that's making it, and again, once you do make it out of there, it's going to be confusing as fuck. Look at the Iran thing. There were hostages that made it out, and this is what we were told in like the second day of our urban E&E training, is that the hostages, I think it was in the Iran-Contra thing, some of them made it out, some of them escaped, and were so like bewildered and frazzled when they were out. They didn't know where to go, what to do. They hadn't made any plans prior. They didn't know the area. Like, they just didn't know what was going on. Some of them actually turned themselves back in. And that's not what you want to do. You want to have a strong mindset, mind state, to go ahead, and when it comes to that confusing, like, things are going really fast, things are happening really fast, and I'm very like confused. You want to be single-minded and strong about things, and saying, I'm going to make this decision. I'm just going to fucking go for it. I don't know if it's going to work, but it's probably going to work. Let's go for it right now. That's way better than, oh, what did I do? What do I do? I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to do it now. You have a way better chance when you operate like that. So keep your mind sharp, just like you keep your body sharp. So having a routine is very important, especially in isolation. If you have something to read, you can set aside a certain amount of time every day that you read. If you don't, whatever it is, but create a schedule for yourself, and that's really going to help. Look forward to small things, right? So you could look forward to a meal. Again, if you're getting fed 3 squares a day, you can certainly look forward to lunch and dinner or breakfast, whatever, right? You can also find other things to look forward to, whether you're just simply looking forward to your exercise routine the next time you get to do it, or you're just looking forward to going to bed, which is like pretty depressing, but you need to look forward to things. So having small things every day to look forward to is going to help that mindset. Mind to body, take care of them. I said that. Create a routine, look forward to things. So we discussed this, but talking is stupid. Don't do it. I mean, if you're forced to talk, you're forced to talk. If you are going ahead and trying to buy time so that your team can move somewhere, maybe it's a predetermined thing that if someone gets captured and we know that someone's been captured, we're gonna move. We're all gonna move out of wherever we are now. Like, maybe we're held up at a certain safe house. We're gonna leave that safe house. We're gonna go to another one that's been predetermined. If one of us gets captured, we are going to change up everything we possibly can. We're going to change our communications plans. We're going to change our codes, our passwords. We're going to change everything because we're going to assume that they're going to break and talk, and they will. And it's going to happen very quickly sometimes, and sometimes it's going to take a little while. But inevitably, it's going to happen. So that's something within your group that you need to predetermine. Don't ever leave it to the type of thing where Bob won't talk. He's a tough son of a bitch. Like he'll die before he talks. Bob will talk. They'll find a way to make Bob talk. It might take him a day. It might take him 2 or 3 days, or it could take him 2 or 3 hours. You don't know. You don't know, and you don't ever know somebody either. Like I've seen some really like hardcore guys, but they break easily. Another thing is I've heard this. I haven't been over to Afghanistan, but I heard that it's SOP within the Taliban to just as soon as you slap them to start talking, because they can then say that they've been tortured. So I forget, some analyst was telling me this, or someone who's been over there who worked, did stuff, that as soon as you slap them around a little bit, they'll start talking. So you need to just make plans ahead of time that, in your group, let's say you're overseas working as a contractor, you're all at this one location, but it's a secret location or whatever, for whatever reason, right? If one of your guys gets captured, you need to move. You need to get the fuck out of there, grab your gear and go. Good reason to leave your bags packed, right? Like literally keep all of your comm supplies in one bag, your weapons, all of your med kit, like keep it all packed, right? All your clothes. And as soon as you get back there, as soon as you can, you throw it in the vehicles and you go somewhere else, right? So just realize that you keep that inside your mind and try as long as you can, right? But don't talk if you can avoid it. Like don't simply just go and talk because you want to talk, right? Women do that. They talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Groups. So this goes into this. Groups breed rats, right? So it's just the type of thing where I don't care how close you think you are with your buddies, one of them could be a rat, whether it's whatever motivation they have. And people who want your buddy to rat, like, people are trained to get somebody to become a rat, right? So they're going to find somebody's motivation, whether that's money, whether that's payback, maybe Bill was not Bill, maybe Bob was sleeping with Jimmy's girlfriend, right? And, whatever. So Jimmy's still like all gung-ho about the resistance, or the whatever it is, right? The group that you're in. But he's always wanted that payback against Bob, right? If somebody comes to Jimmy and approaches him, he's gonna get that. He's gonna be able to get that revenge against him. Or maybe he just needs money. Everyone needs money. Money's usually the one that does it. The acronym MICE, money. Anyway, I'd have to relook at that, but that's an acronym to like tell people's motivations, right? So everyone's got a motivation. They're going to find your motivation. They're going to find, if they find the weak link in the group, they're going to get the group. So groups breed rats. It's just what happens. I don't care how well you know the guys, how long you've been working with the guys. If there's a way to get one of them to turn on you, they will. So trust nobody. Like if you have things that you need to keep secret, dead men tell no tales, right? But I'm not saying that. I'm saying as soon as one more person knows your secret, it's not a secret anymore. So keep it a secret to yourself if you have to. Tell somebody else. Make sure that you trust them. And another good thing is make sure you got dirt on them. Pass notes hand to hand and mouth to mouth when possible. And I say when possible because this isn't always possible. But it's the most secure way of doing it. Look at Afghanistan, right? The Taliban have been using couriers. They're not calling each other on the cell phone, right? They do sometimes, I guess, but they know that that's being listened to. And I'm sure there's fancy ways of encrypting and all of that. Robin could probably tell me about that stuff, but I don't know, right? And I'm not going to just trust somebody if they hand me a phone and say, "Don't worry, it's encrypted." Like, no. Whenever possible, I'm going to do things person to person. Um, Utilizing codes, that could be another good thing that I've heard about is codes. So I'll leave it at that. So I'm going to start wrapping it up here. Now, this has been jumping around from so many different kind of like genres within this topic, right? So we started out talking about the resistance mindset as far as a POW goes. Then we kind of moved into like, escape and evasion stuff. We even moved into if you were living in a communist country, maybe you're a Chinese citizen and you're trying to resist. Um, that could get me in trouble. Maybe you're just living in a communist country and you're trying to resist, right? You're doing the right thing. Those are applicable ways of doing it. Maybe whatever, right? And then we kind of went into like some, I guess you could say like clandestine type things. And we had some fun talking about that stuff. So a quick disclaimer here, like this is just stuff that I've either heard going through courses or I have seen on YouTube or I've read in books. Like nothing I've told you here is sensitive in any way. I never had to sign any NDAs for any of this stuff, which is probably why I can talk about it. So this is just information for academic study only. I'm literally just, I'm going off of years of experience here. So don't attempt to utilize any of this stuff. Don't be a criminal. Criminals suck. Don't do that. Keep everything above the board and within the law. But yeah, these are some interesting concepts that I have learned over the years that are cool, again, for academic study only. So I'm going to wrap this up, but there's 2 points I want to make before I do. So number one is find your cause. So if you are resisting, whether you're resisting tyranny or unlawful and illegal capture and detainment, whatever it is you're resisting, you need to find your cause. What are you fighting for? What are you fighting for? Ask yourself that and do that and meditate on that before you ever have to utilize this stuff. This is going to be very important later on because it's going to be important that this is the third point here. Don't let your fire go out until they kill you. So in other words, you're going to hold that cause within you, whatever that cause is, and you're going to need that, and that's going to sustain you. And that's going to allow you to get through a lot more than you thought you could get through. Trust me. So find your cause. What are you fighting for? Don't ever let anybody try to take that away from you because they can't. Hold that within you. And if you're doing the right thing and you know you're morally doing the right thing, for example, you're a soldier captured by the Taliban, and you're holding out to save your buddies, you're going to be able to hold out a lot longer than you otherwise thought you would. If you are holding out because, again, you're a downed airman, right, like Vietnam or whatever, and you know that eventually there's a big probability that you will get traded back or that the war will end and you'll get out somehow, hold on to that. So find something, hold on to it, and you'll get through it. Because you will get through it and you're going to make it out. And again, you need to keep telling yourself that you're going to make it out of this. All right, guys. Well, until next time, I want you to remember that you are your first and last line of defense. I appreciate you watching. Give me a thumbs up, like this, subscribe, share, all that jazz, and follow me on Instagram. I'm also on Parler as a backup because they started censoring me on Instagram pretty heavily. Even more heavily than this platform. I don't know how long I'm going to be on there. Hopefully I can stay. But Parler at Gutter Fighting Secrets is the backup. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. And remember to stay strong. Cheers.